Howdy, lads. You know, capybaras have been getting a lot of media coverage these last couple years, and if you've seen any of it, I wouldn't blame you for thinking they all live a relaxed life, just eating leaves and befriending anything that comes their way. But, my dear viewer, that's just what the biased, liberal media wants you to think. Because capybaras live a more pathetic life than you could ever imagine. No, you don't believe me, do you? No, okay, fine. Let me show you something. Come here. I said come here. I'm gonna show you just how bad it gets. I'm gonna start from the beginning of a capybara's life and follow it until its inevitable and probably brutal demise. Meet Jarie. Jarie here was born about 15 minutes ago in Venezuela alongside his 2 brothers and 1 sister. Immediately, he's whisked away by the other capybaras in the herd to be taken care of by random other females in like a daycare sort of system. He'll never have a consistent mother figure and he'll only see his biological mother on occasion. But he has bigger things to worry about, like food and jaguars. Yeah, the media might tell you capybaras are friends with crocs and jaguars, but they're only friends when the crocs and jaguars aren't hungry. Every second that Jarie isn't packing on weight, he's increasing his odds of dying to one of the many rough and tumble predators capybaras deal with on a daily basis. To help get as much food as possible, he actually had fully formed teeth right out of the womb, which probably hurts like hell for the female capybaras that are forced to breastfeed the entire herd's children at the same time. But capybara society has yet to make any advancements in women's rights, so they just kind of have to deal with it. As time marches on and spring turns to summer, Jarie spends most of his days just waking up, wading around in the water with other juveniles, and eating whatever plants suit his particular taste that day. He'll poop a few times, more than a few, actually, and when it starts getting too warm, he'll find somewhere cool to relax and lounge and sleep until it's morning again. Sounds kinda nice. Thing is, there's one other thing Jarie does during that time that I forgot to mention. You see, he's come up with some optimized gamer strats for getting as many calories as possible. Why waste all that time and energy finding a new bush to eat when there's a perfectly good meal right here? Maybe if his youngest brother had done that instead of being a picky eater and a runt, he would have been too heavy for that eagle to swoop him up the other day. But he didn't, and now he's dead. As the months keep passing, Jarie develops into a juvenile, and things are really heating up. He finally got kicked off the breast milk, so nowadays he has to get all his calories purely from the plants in his environment. As a result of all that eating, Jarie's put on some serious size, and needs to get combat ready to defend the next batch of young in the upcoming years. To practice, he'll play fight the other males in the group to get a feel for it. If they ever get too rough, the older capybara will intervene to make sure nobody gets seriously hurt. Of course, the juveniles are all secretly practicing to take the alpha position in the group once they reach adolescence, so they probably wouldn't mind killing competition early. Speaking of adolescence, a few more months of this go by, and Jarie's been getting a tingle in his little capybara downstairs that's telling him he desperately wants some alone time with a lady capybara, which signals his entry into adolescence, and also the end of the only remotely enjoyable part of his life. The alpha male of the capybara group is the one that gets complete control over the females. So most of a male capybara's adolescent life is wrapped up in capybara politics that all revolve around male dominance and getting as many mates as possible. Jarie's no pushover though, and his heart is set on those lady capybara smooches. So he keeps at it and rises in rank. He uses the glands in his snout and butt to rub Jarie juice on the surrounding area and claim it as his territory, further establishing his already dominant position in the herd. On top of the political struggles and poop situation, Jarie is still constantly dealing with the threat of getting randomly eaten by one of the many predators that have been slowly weeding out the weak or unlucky young. His brother got demolished by a caiman the other day, and at this point, only about half of the capybaras born at the same time as him are still alive, and those numbers will continue depleting in the coming years. The aggression between males only continues to escalate, until finally, after 2 years of this wretched existence, Jarie has established his place as the alpha of his herd, meaning he gets all the ladies he wants. Unfortunately, capybaras are the world's largest rodents, and they don't have much mobility, meaning they have to do the nasty in the water to help with movement and avoid the aforementioned jaguars. Which, you know, could be fun, but when they do get things going, most of the time, another male will try to interfere to stop the mating from happening, at which point Jarie has to stop what he's doing, scare the guy off, and then go back to the water, at which point the female will have swam off most of the time. To make things even worse, not all the ladies are too keen on getting communicating with Jarie. Some of them prefer softer guys who listen to them and ask about their day. But Jarie's not about that life. So to make sure they can't breed with anyone else, he just stands there, right next to them, forever, and bites any other males that he thinks are looking at them funny. And despite that elite strategy, some of the women still end up getting capybara backshots from other dudes, and Jarie just has to deal with that. But you know, while he isn't micromanaging every woman in his herd like he's running a shady cam business, Jarie helps protect the young from any invaders that pose a threat. Unfortunately, today's intruder is the prophesized jaguar, and while the young jump into the water to escape, Jarie and the other males are forced to charge the beast head-on to buy them time. Thanks to their giant, oversized buck teeth, they're able to bite it a few times and scare it off, but in the process, one male capybara was killed, and Jarie took a swipe from the beast that broke his leg. Despite only being 3 years old, this is the start of Jarie's fall from grace. Now that he's unable to fight, the young that he defended only months ago turn on him and overthrow his position as alpha. He's forced back to the sideline, and as a result of his injury, begins struggling to get enough food. Capybaras naturally have a hard time processing vitamin C as is, so scurvy begins to set in. With the arrival of spring and new young, Jarie is basically a forgotten relic of the past. So as he's limping in the back of his group, gums swollen and bloody from the scurvy, the rest of his pack hardly even notice when an anaconda slithers up from behind him, wraps itself around his neck before swallowing him whole. Despite his death, Jarie lived out one of the best wild capybara lives he could have hoped for. He lived, he bred young, and like most capybara, he quickly died, all the while being mostly helpless should the temptation of an easy meal lure a leopard into making his short life even shorter. This death may seem tragic, but for what it's worth, he was gonna die anyways. The majority of Jarie's herd would be wiped out the next day by Venezuelan hunters because, and this is true, capybaras are sanctioned by the Catholic Church as fish because they are semi-aquatic creatures. So when Good Friday rolls around and Catholics can't eat land animals, some of them just eat capybaras instead. Guys, what are we doing here? Just dunk a chicken in water and call it a day at that point. That is ludicrous. Anyways, that's why I think capybaras have a pathetic life. They spend their whole lives getting bullied by everything around them and each other. So, that's that. Thank you to my patrons over on Patreon for helping support the channel. It really means a lot. Thank you for watching. I'll see you lads next time.